निव निवृत्ति धर्म निरथा निर्ममा निरहंकृताः स्वधर्माप्तेन सत्वेन परिशुद्धेन चेतसा निवृत्तधर्म निरथा निर्ममा निरहंकृताः स्वधर्माप्तेन सत्वेन परिशुद्धेन चेतसा. Synonyms: Nivritti dharma, in religious activities for detachment. Nirathaha, Nirathaha, constantly engaged. Nirmamaha, without a sense of proprietorship. Nirahankritaha, without false egoism. Swadharma, by one's own occupational duties. Apthena, executed. Satvena, by goodness. Parishuddhena, completely purified. Chetasa, by consciousness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: by executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without sense of proprietorship or false egoism, one is posted in one's constitutional position by dint of complete purification of consciousness. And by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the kingdom of God. Purport. Here the word Nivritti Dharma Niratha means constantly engaging in executing religious activities for detachment. There are two kinds of religious performances. One is called Pravritti Dharma, which means the religious activities performed by the Grihamedis for elevation to higher planets or for economic prosperity, the final aim of which is sense gratification. Every one of us who has come to this material world has a sense of overlordship. This is called Pravritti. But the opposite type of religious performance, which is called Nivritti, is to act for Supreme Personality of Godhead. Engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness, one has no proprietorship claim, nor is one situated in the false egoism of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself as himself the servant. That is the process of purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness only can one enter into the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter and sorry materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within this material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over again. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सह गणललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. निवृत्ति धर्म निरता निर्ममा निरहंकृताः स्वधर्माप्तेन सत्वेन परिशुद्धेन चेतसा. So in this is the series of verses Lord Kapila Dev is explaining in this chapter, right? The name of the chapter is Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. So there was a lot of discussion that has happened between Lord Kapila Dev and his mother, Devahuti. And in the series of these talks, they have reached to this chapter where Lord is explaining about the entanglement in fruitive activities. All right. So after this, there will be next chapter, and their conversation ends there. So now, in this verse, basically in the series, in this chapter, entanglement of the fruitive activities, Lord has explained or talked about two types of householders. They are called as, one is called as Griha Medhi, the other one is called as Grihastha. So Griha Medhi is a person who is involved in this material world with an attachment to this material enjoyment or material senses. While the Grihastha is a person or a living entity or a householder who doesn't he is still there with the family, he's still there, he's performing all his actions and activities that are required to run this his family, but at the same time he's not attached. But what is he? He's detached. So in this chapter, first 3 to 4 verses, actually 4 verses, talks about the Griha Medis, what happens to them, what are they, how are they, kind of details are given in this first 4 verses. And the next last, like fifth verse was about Grihastha, and the sixth verse is continuation of that same context of Grihastha. So in the Grihastha, Lord is talking about a detachment, right? Nivritti dharma, the dharma or the occupational duty of having religious activities of detachment, right? So he's in the Grihastha. He's Lord is still speaking about the householder only. But the only difference between the Griha Medhi and Grihastha in this verse, Grihastha, is that Grihastha is not attached to the occupational duties was supposed to perform as a householder, right? So what are those? Nivritti Dharma Niratha, so constantly engaged, Nirmama, without a sense of proprietorship. He doesn't have any proprietorship. Complete opposite of Griha Medhi. Griha Medhi has a proprietorship. This is my family. This is my nation. This is my dog. This is my pet. This kind of proprietorships. And when you have, what's the problem with having a proprietorship? The problem having the proprietorship is that we think that we are the master and we try to lord over that material energy. In reality, it was provided by the Lord, right? So nirmama, nirhankritaha, basically without false ego. Swadharma aptena. So by one's occupational duty executed. So in the goodness, so satvena in the goodness, parishuddhena chetasa. So he'll perform by executing one's occupational duties, acting with detachment and without a sense of proprietorship or false egoism. So he's not saying this is mine. This is all false ego, right? And one is posted in one's constitutional position, sorry, by the dint of complete purification of consciousness. So he's performing all these duties in the mode of goodness, right? And by thus executing so-called material duties, he can easily enter into the parishuddhena, completely purified. He gets completely purified with these activities, right? So yeah. So Grihastha, Grihamedi, we talked. So what is the problem with what happens if you have proprietorship? What happens if you're not detached? So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 52 explains the position of a silkworm. So what happens to the silkworm? Dehi Dehyagno Ajita Sadvargo Nechan Karmani Karyate Kosakara Yavatmanam Karmana Chadya Muhyati. So this silkworm, right? What happens is with the saliva, the specialty of the silkworm is that it can produce a saliva which will turn into a solid, right? It's a beautiful silk cocoons they make with the saliva. They just spit, and that spit will turn into a thread, a silk, what we get for the silk, right? So the silk thread. So this when the silkworm is spitting, it is enjoying that process, the spitting process, and it is enjoying the building of the home. The cocoon is a home for itself, right? So I was thinking that uh, uh, it is building a house, and this silkworm, it keeps building the home in such a way that it becomes a shell, and it is completely closed in all directions. There is no exit for that silkworm. See, when the silkworm spits, there is a control out of it. It's a liquid. it can control. But when it turns into a silk cocoon, it cannot come out. There is no way it can come out unless it grows big. That's a different story. But it gets trapped into that cocoon, and it dies there. That is the position. This was given to um, to represent a Grahamedi. Grahamedi is a person where or a householder who is attached, who has a proprietorship to this material world, and he keeps doing the activities in that mood. He doesn't have an exit. Any activity we perform should have an exit. If we build a house, we build a beautiful house, we have everything, right? We have everything in the house, and if we don't have an exit door, what's the use? Or if you don't have a toilet, right? We keep eating and eating and eating, but then somewhere we should remove that, right? If you don't have a toilet, where do you do the toilet? So that is the example scriptures give. So we have to have an exit. So what we're trying to explain here is that whatever activities we perform, that activities should be done with a tint of detachment. Yes, I'm doing this activity, I'm working on this process, but results we don't know. It can be positive, it can be negative. There is no result, right? And that's what this verse is. Dehagno ajita shadvargo nechan karmani karyate koshakara yavatmanam. It's exactly like koshakara, a silkworm. A silkworm makes his own trap. He was enjoying the process. If he was not enjoying why would have he done the process? Each and every silkworm does the same thing. That becomes bait, or that becomes that is uh, that is where we get silk from. So all the silk sarees, all the women wear, or the silk clothes we wear, they come from this silkworm because it trapped himself into the cocoon. Okay, what is the problem of being attached to sense enjoyment? What is the problem? We think material world is permanent, and determination towards bhakti will be diminished. That's the problem. When we get attached, we don't um, we're enjoying the process, we're enjoying it, we're thinking a part of it, and we don't get an attraction towards Krishna, because attraction towards Krishna is different. It's a different platform. You're not going to get anything from attraction to Krishna except devotion, bhakti. Because we are in this process of enjoying this material world, we're enjoying it, we're feeling good, we have some senses attached to it. But when we go to Krishna, all the senses of or doesn't take any part. We just have to be in bhakti, right? So one verse in Bhagavad Gita says that Bhogeshwara Prasaktanam Taya Prahita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhav na Vidhiyate. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So it is super hard. So what is wrong with enjoying the material senses, or what is wrong in material enjoyment is that the development of bhakti, or a resolution, vyavasayatmaka buddhi, or the engagement into the devotional service, the determination to engage in the devotional service will never exist, or it does not take place. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. So in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and those who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. That's the problem. So yeah, so Grihamedis perform activities to best enjoy the material world. By these pious activities, living entities are elevated to heavenly planets, where provisioning for even more enjoyment is present. So we enjoy here, and we do some bhakti or some devotion uh, to improvise our, or to improve our conditions, or to improve our enjoyment. That is another problem. We don't pray to the Krishna We don't get devotion to Krishna. Devotion to Krishna means you have to leave everything, right? No material attachments. Not material attachments, meaning like you're not devotion to Krishna is in different platform. So when we are engaged and we are used to this material enjoyment, we aspire for more, because material enjoyment is not permanent. It sometimes comes, it sometimes goes. So we get a taste of that honey, and we work on it, and we try to improve upon it. Sometimes we just get a little taste of it, then it'll just go away, then we get little more, then we aspire for more. In this process, instead of taking to Krishna, we take to the other processes, um, which is called as Trai, like mentioned in the Vedas. So other processes mentioned in the Vedas. So by, like, perform this puja, or perform this activity towards the demigods, please other beings, or please do some good things. So what happens? You will be um, provisioned to travel to the higher or elevated heavenly planets, where the enjoyment is much more. Okay. In Right. So the verse it explains here is that Tetam, it's in Bhagavad Gita 9:21. Tetam bhuktva swarga loka vishalam kshine punya martya loka vishanti evam tray dharmam anuprapanna gatagatam kama labanthe. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Right? So they just achieve repeated birth and death. Who are they? The people who are attached to the material enjoyment. So because they have attached to the material enjoyment, they want more, and they follow the Vedas. There are prescriptions given in the Vedas also on how to please the Lord, how to get a good wife, how to be rich, how to have a big house. So there are different processes given. If you perform this, or if you chant this mantra, or if you pray to the tree, something. They have so many solutions given in the Vedas for the benefit of the living entities only. So if we just follow that without without having a bhakti, without developing a devotion to the Krishna, without the detachment, and without the removing the false ego, we still will be elevated to the heavenly planets. But the problem there also is that we have to come back. Okay, so here in this verse, Vedas are called as Trayi because there are three types of activities mentioned in Trayi or Vedas, which is Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda. Karma Kanda is basically ritualistic activities, right? Jnana Kanda is philosophical sections like Upanishads, and Upasana Kanda is like what I said, recommendation of worship to different demigods. Okay, you pray here, you get this kind of principles are mentioned here. So the principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on path of transcendental realization. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 7, the purport he writes that the principles of knowledge and detachment are two important factors on the path of transcendental realization. The whole spiritual process leads to perfect knowledge of everything material and spiritual, and the results of such perfect knowledge are that one becomes detached from the material affection and becomes attached to the spiritual activities. So what has to happen if one is a Grihamedi, right? How will he become a Grihastha? So this is a process. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that the knowledge is super important. So how does the knowledge come? Knowledge comes by the activities towards Krishna. When you've started showing affinity towards the bhakti, towards the service, towards the Lord's activities like um, chanting and singing and listening to the classes of Srimad Bhagavatam, we get knowledge. So with the knowledge, that's a weapon. Knowledge is a weapon to cut through the material sense, to the material knots, right? So what happens with that knowledge? We get detachment. We'll get detached. The detachment is developed. When the detachment is developed, then the material affection will be removed. So he'll become a Grihastha, right? So this is a simple solution. Srila Prabhupada explains. As soon as one engages in such serious devotional service of the Lord, naturally the propensity to falsely claim lordship over material nature disappears. This is another purpose Prabhupada mentions in Canto 3, Chapter 27, Text 5, right? By developing such a desire, a devotional service of the Lord, naturally the propensity of false claiming, like nirahankaraha, false ego, like mine kind of thinking will go away, right? That detachment is called vairagya or renunciation. But anyway, instead of being absorbed in so-called material lordship, one engages in Krishna consciousness. That is the control of consciousness, right? So we have consciousness. That consciousness can be attached to the material world or can be attached to the spiritual world or to Krishna. So by constantly engaging in the serious devotional service, one can naturally, it doesn't have to take a special effort. It will become natural. It's like engaging the service. You are not stopping doing the activities. You're engaging the activities from one side to other side. Earlier, we used to enjoy the food, let's say some nice prasadam, nice food, right? For our senses. Oh, it was so nice. Now, what's happening? The same food he's enjoying, but before enjoying the same food, he's offering it to the Lord. We offer to the Lord, and we enjoy the same thing, same food. There is no difference. Only difference is we are acting through the Lord. We are acting it as a offering to the Lord, or we are eating as an offering to the Lord. So that is the difference. So that detachment is called vairagya. Instead of being absorbed in so-called material lordship, one engages in Krishna consciousness. So instead of thinking that I am the one who is enjoying the food, we are thinking that this is Krishna's prasadam, so this is tasty and I'm enjoying it. That's a shift of consciousness. That's how we can control the consciousness. Right? The Srila Prabhupada mentions. Um, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the same verse, like Ata eva shanashchittam prashaktam satam pati bhakti yogena tivrena viraktya cha nayedvasam. So it is the duty of every conditioned soul to engage his polluted consciousness, which is now attached to the material enjoyment, in very serious devotional service with detachment. Thus, his mind and consciousness will be under full control. So this is a verse. So it is the duty of every living entity. It's not what happens if you don't follow the duty. Will take birth again and again in this material world. We have to go through these cycles again and again. So that's why it becomes a duty of a living entity or a conditioned soul to engage its polluted consciousness. Polluted consciousness is the consciousness towards the material enjoyment. You thinking you are the doer, you are the with all the attachment with the senses and the mind, right? Which is now attached to the material enjoyment. Like in the polluted consciousness, you are attached to the material enjoyment. In very same devotional service, in very serious devotional service with detachment. Sorry. So we're basically shifting our consciousness from material enjoyment to the devotional service. So uh, this is what Srila, this is what is about the detachment to this material world. Okay. Now let's read through the purport and understand what Srila Prabhupada is saying here. Here the word nivritti dharma nirata means constantly engaging in executing religious activities for detachment. Constantly engaging religious activities for detachment, meaning like once oh we said we offered once and that's it. No, we have to constantly engage our senses. We have to always think Krishna is the proprietor, not me. Krishna is the provider of everything. I see the example is when Prabhu gives on the lighter note, when Prabhu gives an example that this Prabhu and was working in a company, in an organization, and there was another Mataji or some lady. She was working there also in the same team. The Prabhu was working super hard, like doing a lot of giving a lot of hours, putting all his resources, energy into this into the work to the company. And this girl or the lady who used to come, she used to just roam around and enjoying chips and fruity a drink in India. So she used to eat chips and fruity every morning and saying hello, hi to and whatever. She was enjoying and not performing as much as the Prabhu was performing. But eventually, after the final reviews, she got promoted next year. So Prabhu's point was that she got promoted just by eating and eating chips and drinking, sipping on fruity. So that means whatever one has to get has already been determined. Whatever we are supposed to receive, whatever we have to get has been already determined. So you can get money if you're supposed to get $1 million, you'll get it no matter what. That because of the pieties we have performed in this previous life, that is destined to come, right? You work or you don't work. That's what it's saying. Um, um, So, the point what I was trying to mention here is that the things which were supposed to come will come, but the activities we have to perform. That's why we should be very focused on engaging our engaging or constantly engaging in executing religious activities for detachment. So we have to engage ourselves from detachment. We are not the proprietorship. If we have to give, we have to get, we'll get it. It has already been destined, and Krishna is the one who can provide that also. So, but our duty is to act with detachment. There are two kinds of religious performances. One is called Pravritti Dharma. Pravritti Dharma, which means the religious activities performed by Grihamedis for elevation to higher planets or for economic prosperity, the final aim of which is sense gratification. So, what is the final aim of the Grihamedi? Are the one who is performing the activities for the sensual pleasure. Is whatever he makes, right? Elevation to higher planets or economic prosperity. The final aim is sense gratification. He just gets sense gratification more and more, more and more. So that's why we Grahamedis perform activities with the senses and mind attached to this material world. Okay, every one of us who has come to this material world has a sense of overlordship. We have the sense of overlordship. Anyone in this material world, this is called pravritti, right? But the opposite type of religious performance, which is nivritti, is to act for the supreme personality of Godhead. So we are detached and we act for um, we don't want to be here in this material world. We want to get out of this somehow other by engaging into the devotional service. Okay, engage in devotional service in Krishna consciousness. One has no proprietorship claim, nor is one situated in the false egoism of thinking that he is God or the master. He always thinks himself the servant. That is the process of purifying consciousness. With pure consciousness, only one can enter into the kingdom of God. Materialistic persons in their elevated condition can enter any one of the planets within the material world, but all are subjected to dissolution over and over. So this whatever growth we make in this material world will be diluted. It will go away, and we have to come again and again. Okay? So this is the verse 332.6. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Harikisha Prabhu. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. A very special day. Appearance of Radha Kund. We can read about the appearance of Radha Kund on this very special day and chant the prayers of Radha Kund. We'll be posting that in Nityam Bhagavata Savior. We like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Narsingho, Jai Narsingho, Praladesha, Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Pringam. Ugravira Mahavishnu Jwalantam Sarvato Mukham Narsingam Vishanam Bhagaram Nityam Niktim Navamiyam. नरसिंह भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Sama Vaishnavas, Panchakalpatarubhascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhayavacha, Patitanam Pavanavaya, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. वैष्णविंद की जय. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji, can you share that, Madhupati Prabhuji, can you share that Radha Kunda picture? You remember you showed me long time back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.